Kelly is now there by herself.
Yeah.
You're kidding.
She got very offended when I left. I left, and I think she resented that. I mean, that's how I feel about it, and I'm sorry, because I wasn't trying to dive from her, but I was a little tired, you know?
America's morning sweetheart isn't so sweet behind the scenes, at least not to everyone. Kelly Ripa has spent decades charming audiences on daytime TV, but not all of her co-stars and celebrity guests have walked away with a smile. From bitter feuds to long-lasting grudges, some stars vehemently hate Ripa, and their reasons might shock you. Here's the real story behind the smiles and shade. Regis Philbin. Regis Philbin's legacy in television is unmatched. Known as the hardest-working man in show business, the Bronx native spent decades on American screens and even earned the Guinness World Record for most hours on U.S. television. One of his most high-profile chapters came with Live with Regis and Kelly, where he shared the spotlight with Kelly Ripa for a full decade. Their partnership began in 2001 when Ripa succeeded Kathie Lee Gifford, and Regis passed on the torch of a show he had hosted since 1983, back when it was still called The Morning Show. On camera, the chemistry between Regis and Ripa worked. They made audiences laugh with their banter, light-hearted commentary, and the generational contrast between them. But behind the scenes, things were different. Ripa later revealed to the New York Times that Philbin had a strict, absolutely no talking off-camera rule. His reasoning was that saving their conversations exclusively for the live broadcast would preserve spontaneity. While this superstition may have contributed to the show's appeal, it also created a noticeable distance in their off-screen relationship. When Regis retired in 2011 at the age of 80, many assumed it was simply a natural end to a legendary career. Yet, Philbin admitted later that his departure strained his relationship with Ripa. Speaking to The Insider, he said, "I think Ripa got angry when I left, though he clarified he wasn't abandoning her, only stepping away from the daily grind of live TV. I wasn't trying to dive from her," he further explained to host Debbie Matenopoulos. The comments hinted that, despite years of working together, the two never fully connected on a personal level. That distance stood in stark contrast to Regis's bond with his previous co-host, Kathie Lee Gifford. The pair spent 15 years together on the show from 1985 to 2000, and their friendship endured long after their professional partnership ended. Even in 2019, Regis warmly reflected on their time together in an interview with Today. "Kathie Lee, you want to know the best part of my life, my TV life, was in the 15 years I spent with you, 1985 to 2000. We stayed friends throughout the entire game, and it was a lot of fun." Gifford later confirmed in 2020 that the two remained close and talked regularly up until his death. By comparison, Regis and Ripa's strained connection became more evident after his exit. While they had shared the stage at 7 Lincoln Square in New York for 10 years, it seemed their bond never extended beyond the studio lights. For Regis, the magic he guarded so carefully for the cameras created unforgettable television. But for Ripa, that magic may have felt one-sided, leaving behind an estranged relationship that stood in stark contrast to his warm, lifelong friendship with Gifford. Megyn Kelly. The morning after the 2016 presidential election, viewers tuning into Live were greeted by a surprising pairing. Fox News anchor Megyn Kelly alongside Kelly Ripa. At the time, Kelly was one of the most talked-about figures in American media, having held her own in high-profile political interviews and debates. But just a year later, by the fall of 2017, the two women would be framed as rivals when NBC launched Megyn Kelly Today in the same competitive time slot as Live with Kelly and Ryan. What made the move striking was Kelly's decision to step away from the sharp political coverage that had made her a star at Fox. Instead, she attempted to reinvent herself as a daytime personality in the same vein as Ripa. Industry insiders speculated she was gunning for Ripa's audience, though the results didn't favor her. According to the New York Times, the first 10 weeks of Nielsen ratings revealed that Live not only beat Megyn Kelly Today overall, but also dominated in the coveted 25 to 54 demographic, the age group most valuable to advertisers. The gap was significant enough to suggest that NBC's gamble wasn't paying off. Behind the scenes, critics questioned the strategy. An industry source told Page Six that NBC's hiring of Kelly was both a misstep and a misuse of her strengths, saying the network had wasted both her talent and their money. By 2018, just 1 year into what was originally a 3-year contract, Megyn Kelly Today was canceled, leaving NBC scrambling to fill the void. During this period, tabloids seized on whispers of a feud between Kelly and Ripa. In Touch Weekly splashed the two women on its cover with explosive captions like "Nasty battle erupts" and "Insults fly as feud turns personal." While Gossip Cop later clarified that the coverage contained elements of truth but was ultimately misleading, the supposed rivalry captured public attention. After all, it was hard to ignore the optics of one media powerhouse seemingly chasing the blueprint of another. For her part, Ripa downplayed the idea of competition. In a 2017 interview with the New York Times, she insisted that Live never positioned itself against other programs, saying, "We don't compare ourselves to anybody because we are the only ones who do what we do." It was a confident reminder that Live had already outlasted countless challengers in the crowded world of daytime television. Rosie O'Donnell. Rosie O'Donnell has never been shy about her feelings toward Kelly Ripa, and over the years, she's made it clear that the daytime star isn't exactly on her list of favorite people. In Ladies Who Punch, the explosive inside story of The View, O'Donnell openly claimed, via Us Weekly, Kelly Ripa is mean. She wanted to have this weird feud. She even alleged that whenever their paths cross in public, Ripa deliberately avoids her, saying she looks away. For O'Donnell, the tension wasn't just a minor misunderstanding, it became something of a long-running grudge. The feud traces back to a now infamous 2006 episode of Live with Regis and Kelly. Ripa was co-hosting alongside Clay Aiken, who was filling in for Regis Philbin. In a spontaneous moment, Aiken placed his hand over Ripa's mouth to stop her mid-sentence. Clearly uncomfortable, Ripa pushed back, saying, "That's a no-no," before adding, "I don't know where that hand has been, honey." The exchange caused a stir, but the real controversy exploded when it was discussed on The View. O'Donnell, who was then co-hosting on The View, accused Ripa's comment of being coded and discriminatory. She labeled it homophobic, arguing, if that was a guy that she didn't question his sexuality, she would have said a different thing. Her words put Ripa on the defensive, as she later clarified that her discomfort came from Aiken's physical intrusion, not his identity. When Regis Philbin eventually returned to the show, Ripa doubled down, describing Aiken's gesture as hostile and saying she felt disrespected by the move. More than a decade later, the bad blood hadn't entirely gone away. In 2019, Us Weekly reported that O'Donnell privately apologized to Ripa for reviving the Clay Aiken incident in her book, though an insider suggested O'Donnell still clung to an alternate reality for public consumption. Adding fuel to the fire, O'Donnell once tweeted, "Kelly Ripa, the girl can hold a grudge," hinting that the frost between them was unlikely to thaw anytime soon. Michael Strahan. Michael Strahan's leap from the football field to daytime television was nothing short of remarkable. In 2012, the NFL Hall of Famer, best known for his Super Bowl victory with the New York Giants, joined Kelly Ripa on Live with Kelly and Michael. The pairing was an instant success. Strahan's easygoing charm and humor balanced Ripa's sharp wit and seasoned hosting skills, creating a dynamic chemistry that viewers quickly embraced. Their popularity translated into industry recognition when the duo won the Daytime Emmy Award for Outstanding Entertainment Talk Show Host in 2016, proving that Strahan's transition into broadcasting was more than just a novelty. It was a real career move. Yet behind the glowing smiles and on-camera banter, cracks began to form. In April 2016, the public was stunned when Strahan announced he would be leaving live to join Good Morning America. Almost immediately, rumors began to swirl about behind-the-scenes tension. TMZ reported that Ripa allegedly bullied her co-host off-camera, though another source dismissed the claims as nothing more than a joke. The speculation only intensified after Ripa famously skipped several days of work following Strahan's announcement, fueling talk of betrayal and resentment. For Strahan, the fallout was both professional and personal. In an interview with People, he admitted, "At one point, I think we were friends. I don't know what happened at the end." Wanting to repair the relationship, he revealed to the New York Times in 2020 that he had tried arranging regular bi-weekly meetings with Ripa to strengthen their partnership, only for her to decline, saying she didn't need to meet. The rejection solidified the distance between them, and the two have not spoken since. Strahan later reflected on his career pivot, candidly sharing that he sometimes felt sidelined in television roles. "On television, I've had jobs where I got there and felt like, wow, I didn't know I was supposed to be a sidekick. I thought I was coming here to be a partner," he explained. This sense of imbalance likely mirrored some of the frustrations during his live tenure. Still, Strahan has made it clear he holds no bitterness toward Ripa. While acknowledging they are no longer in contact, he described her as brilliant and praised her talent. "I don't hate her," he clarified. "I do respect her for what she can do at her job." For fans, the story remains a bittersweet reminder of how dazzling television chemistry can mask deeper personal divides. A Bachelor star. When Kelly Ripa called The Bachelor disgusting and creepy during her 2019 on-air comments, she ignited a flurry of responses from both fans and figures connected to the franchise. Among those who jumped into the fray was none other than Colton Underwood, the star of The Bachelor Season 23. Underwood, who had already become a household name thanks to his dramatic fence jump moment, a scene so iconic it won the 2019 MTV Movie and TV Award for Most Memeable Moment, couldn't resist taking a jab back. In a now-deleted tweet, he wrote, "How mad is Kelly Ripa going to be when The Bachelor wins an Emmy this year? Thank you for your consideration." The quip, dripping with sarcasm, was meant to poke fun at Ripa's harsh dismissal of the show, while also defending the series that had catapulted him into the spotlight. Later, Underwood downplayed the exchange, telling Us Weekly that his tweet was all in good fun, and insisting the situation had been blown out of proportion. He emphasized that because both he and Ripa worked under the larger ABC umbrella, he wasn't about to let her criticism get under his skin. Still, the decision to delete the tweet suggested that, despite his lighthearted explanation, he may have second-guessed the tone of his remarks. Interestingly, this wasn't the first time Ripa and Underwood had butted heads over the show. Earlier in 2019, when he appeared as a guest on Live with Kelly and Ryan, Ripa didn't shy away from questioning the validity of his reality TV journey. She poked holes in the premise of competing for love on camera and made it clear that she didn't buy into the fairy tale endings the franchise marketed. Underwood, for his part, took her comments in stride, though the tension was palpable. His later tweet, even if meant as a joke, raised questions. Why not soften the tone with a simple LOL or a laughing emoji to make the humor more obvious? Perhaps he had simply grown weary of Ripa's repeated bashing of the show that had given him his platform. Or maybe he just wasn't amused by her brand of criticism, seeing it less as witty banter and more as a direct attack. Jessica Seinfeld. At one time, Kelly Ripa and Jessica Seinfeld were inseparable, the very definition of celebrity best friends. Their bond was on full display in 2014, when the two couples, Ripa and husband Mark Consuelos, along with Seinfeld and her comedian husband Jerry Seinfeld, jetted off on a lavish summer vacation to Greece. Their families blended seamlessly, and Ripa was even part of Jessica's 43rd birthday celebration that same year. Jessica marked the moment on Instagram with a heartfelt caption, "When God gives you another sister, just with a different last name, at Kelly Ripa. To the outside world, their friendship seemed more like sisterhood. The pair frequently appeared at events together, laughed side by side in photos, and gave off the impression that theirs was a lifelong bond. Yet, as the saying goes, blood is thicker than water, and somewhere along the way, their seemingly unshakable closeness unraveled. By the mid-2000s, keen-eyed fans noticed the silence. The once frequent social media shout-outs disappeared, and the vacations and birthday tributes stopped. Neither Ripa nor Seinfeld ever publicly addressed the shift, but observers couldn't help but wonder what had caused the rift. As the years passed, Jessica was more often spotted alongside other celebrities, including former live co-host Michael Strahan, than she was with Ripa. In 2017, the gossip mill began churning with fresh speculation. The site Blind Gossip published an item about an alleged feud between a wife of a famous comedian and a TV girl who had once been best friends. The insider claimed bluntly, "They hate each other now." If you see either of them in person, don't ask what happened to their friendship. They will simply turn their back on you and walk away without answering. It's left their mutual celebrity friends in the awkward position of having to choose up sides. While the blind item never confirmed names, the timing and details were too coincidental to ignore. For fans who had once watched the two women parade their friendship like a badge of honor, the silence between them became louder than any explanation. What exactly caused the fallout remains a mystery. Whether it was a personal disagreement, a clash of egos, or simply the drifting apart that often happens in high-profile circles, the friendship that once seemed destined to last forever now appears to be firmly in the past. For Ripa and Seinfeld, their story serves as a reminder that even in the glittering world of celebrity, not every bond survives the test of time. Chris Harrison and Mike Fleiss. It's no secret that Kelly Ripa has long been one of the loudest critics of ABC's hit franchise, The Bachelor, and its many spin-offs. Over the years, she has made no attempt to hide her disdain for the reality competition series, taking issue with its very premise: a group of women vying for the affection of one man. On Live in 2019, Ripa bluntly declared, "You guys know how I feel about the show, it disgusts me," before doubling down with, "All of you women watch that gross, gross show." Her fiery remarks didn't go unnoticed. Members of Bachelor Nation quickly took offense, and soon the franchise's biggest names were clapping back. Longtime host Chris Harrison responded on Twitter with a pointed message, "Look out. Bachelor Nation, at Kelly Ripa is coming after you and your disgusting Monday night habit." His comment was soon followed by a sharper jab from the show's creator, Mike Fleiss, who tweeted directly at Ripa, "Easy. At Kelly Ripa. #The Bachelor franchise pays your salary." The implication was that since The Bachelor airs on ABC, the same network as Live with Kelly and Ryan, Ripa indirectly owed part of her success to the very franchise she despised. That comment lit a firestorm. Fleiss's attempt to diminish Ripa's voice and link her salary to his franchise quickly drew backlash, and another high-profile ABC star leapt to her defense. Ellen Pompeo, the Golden Globe-nominated star of Grey's Anatomy, blasted Fleiss in a fiery tweet of her own. "Okay, at Fleissmeister. That's some handle, bro. Your show does not pay at Kelly Ripa's salary. Also, we don't attack successful women on our network, and men certainly cannot take credit for their success. Don't get me started on your show because I'm a savage. #Bachelor so white." Pompeo's message not only defended Ripa, but also called out the Bachelor franchise for its long history of lacking diversity, an issue that had plagued it for years. Her intervention shut down the Twitter feud, leaving her with the final word. Notably, despite the public blow-up, there's no record of Harrison or Fleiss ever offering a public apology to Ripa. For her part, Ripa never backed down from her opinion, continuing to represent the segment of viewers who see The Bachelor less as romance and more as exploitation. The incident highlighted not only Ripa's willingness to speak her mind, but also the loyalty she commands from peers across the ABC family, proving that, love it or hate it, her voice carries weight far beyond the walls of morning television. Howard Stern. Howard Stern has built his career on blunt honesty, and when it comes to Kelly Ripa, he has never held back. The shock jock, known for sparing no one from his fiery opinions, has repeatedly taken aim at the daytime talk show host, particularly over her treatment of former co-stars Regis Philbin and Michael Strahan. The tension first came to light in 2016, when Michael Strahan announced his sudden exit from Live with Kelly and Michael to join Good Morning America. Ripa, blindsided by the news, skipped several days of work in protest, making headlines for her visible frustration. But Stern wasn't sympathetic. On a May 2016 episode of The Howard Stern Show, via Radar Online, he mocked her absence, saying, "Kelly Ripa has a contract. You can't play hooky on your own show." For Stern, the optics were unprofessional, and he wasted no time calling her out on air. His criticism didn't end there. The following year, Stern lobbed another jab at Ripa, this time questioning her work ethic compared to his own. Speaking to longtime co-host Robin Quivers, he quipped, "A day of our show is a week of Kelly Ripa's show." The comment reinforced Stern's image of Ripa as someone who, in his view, had it easier than other broadcasters in the industry. By 2019, Stern's critiques had shifted focus back to Ripa's earlier partnership with Regis Philbin, which had ended on an uneasy note when Regis retired in 2011. While chatting with Jimmy Kimmel on air, Stern openly wondered whether foul play had played a role in Philbin's estrangement from the show. "Don't you think they should have Regis on that show once a year at least?" he asked, before pointedly adding, "I think he would have liked to at least be associated in some way with the show and remind people that he's the guy who started that whole thing." Via USA Today. Stern's suggestion painted Ripa as someone who had potentially iced Regis out, even from occasional guest spots. What makes Stern's digs at Ripa even more surprising is that the two were once close. Their friendship was strong enough that Ripa attended Stern's 2008 wedding to Beth Ostrowski, and her husband, Mark Consuelos, even officiated the ceremony. Per People. That history makes Stern's criticisms sting more, as they come not only from a fellow media heavyweight, but also from someone who once counted Ripa as part of his inner circle. In classic Stern fashion, his commentary has left fans divided. Some see his jabs as harsh truths about Ripa's professional relationships, while others view them as unnecessarily cruel toward one of daytime television's most recognizable faces. Regardless, Stern's sharp words have ensured that the cracks in Ripa's public image remain a frequent topic of discussion. Pit bulls caused a stir. In 2012, Christopher Walken dropped by Live with Kelly and Michael to promote his dark comedy, 7 Psychopaths. As always, Walken's eccentric storytelling captivated the audience, but one moment during the interview sparked unexpected drama. While explaining that his character in the film kidnaps dogs for ransom, one of them belonging to a gangster, Kelly Ripa jumped in with an offhand remark. "But the gangster's dog is, if it's a gangster, it would have to be a dangerous, pit bull kind of dog, right?" she mused. What may have seemed like a casual throwaway line to Ripa immediately rubbed some viewers the wrong way, particularly celebrities who were passionate advocates for pit bulls. Among the first to respond was Star Trek, the Next Generation actor Will Wheaton, a devoted pit bull owner. He fired off a tweet directly addressing the comment, "I'm not a gangster. My friend at Kaylee Cuoco is not a gangster. My dog Seamus is not dangerous." At Kelly Ripa couldn't be more wrong, but Wheaton didn't stop there. Just 9 minutes later, he followed up with a second tweet, urging Ripa to reconsider the harmful stereotype. "I hope at Kelly Ripa will do some research spend some time with a pit bull, and correct the misleading impression she gave millions of people. His words struck a chord in the pit bull advocacy community, amplifying the backlash. Kaley Cuoco, star of The Big Bang Theory and also a well-known pit bull lover, joined in soon after. In a since-deleted tweet, she asked incredulously, "Did Kelly Ripa really say all pits are dangerous on her show this AM?" Cuoco's tweet added fuel to the fire, creating headlines and giving the impression that a celebrity feud was in the making. However, the situation cooled quickly once Cuoco clarified her stance. In another now-deleted tweet, she reassured fans that there was no bad blood. "Okay, I'm not in a war at Kelly Ripa. We are friends for years, and I adore her. Just have a severe love for my global pit bull fam and owners." The dust-up ended there, but the episode highlighted how one offhand remark can spiral into controversy when amplified by passionate fan bases and social media. Ripa, who likely meant no harm with her comment, found herself in the middle of an unexpected debate about breed discrimination. For Wheaton and Cuoco, it was less about attacking Ripa personally and more about defending the reputations of the dogs they loved. What do you think about people who don't particularly like Kelly Ripa? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.